Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. In 2014, at the NATO summit in Wales, the NATO members agreed to get to 2% of GDP spending by the year 2024. Yet, despite an invasion by Russia of Ukraine, Putin's nuclear saber rattling, and nearly 10 years later, we only see 7 NATO members have reached that goal of 2%. And many of the heavyweight economies that have $1 trillion in GDP, notably Canada, France, Germany, Italy, and Spain, have not reached that goal. And Italy's defense spending in particular sits at 1.15% of GDP, and Italy said it would not meet the 2% threshold until 2028. Prime Minister Meloni has vowed to increase the defense spending to reach the NATO target, and given that Italy is a critical player, an anchor of NATO's southern flank, as well as deployment of troops in places like Bulgaria, Kosovo, Latvia, we need to see this promise translated into action, especially at a time what's going on. And of course, we've got the Vilnius summit coming up next month in NATO, and it really is important that our NATO partners reach this goal. It's literally depriving the alliance of tens of billions of dollars in defense that can be used toward deterrence. We really need to see this happen, and so, Ambassador Markell, do you view Prime Minister Meloni's pledge to reach 2% as credible? And if so, when would you expect Italy to be able to reach that goal?
Thank you for the question, Senator. What I can tell you is that I totally agree with the premise of the question, the importance of Italy reaching that 2%. When I engage with my interlocutors in Italy, including the Prime Minister, I'll make clear that we're really looking at that not so much as a ceiling, but as a floor. And as I mentioned in my introduction, that is one of my highest priorities as it relates to my time in Italy as ambassador, if I am confirmed.
I couldn't agree with you more about the 2% being a ceiling and not a floor. Do you have any feel for how long it would take Italy to be able to get there?
I don't, and I just have not been read into that. But it's something that, again, will be one of my highest areas of focus, and it's something that I would intend to engage with the committee on as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. And Ambassador Shea, you know, if confirmed, one of the roles you'll be is representing the U.S. on the UN Security Council. And one of the failures of the Security Council is to, in a number of international crises, including discouraging Russia's invasion of Ukraine, but also Iran's ill intentions, the failure of the JCPOA and the UN Security Council Resolution 2231 has failed to contain Iran in enriching uranium and curb its nuclear ambitions. On October 18th of this year, the UN's prohibition against Iran transfers of long-range drones and ballistic missiles will expire, as will the UN asset freezes and visa bans against dozens of Iranian entities and individuals involved with the nuclear and ballistic missile programs. Iran has already violated the UN's prohibition against arming Iran by sending hundreds, if not thousands, of drones to Russia, the suicide-type drones we've seen. This should trigger the snapback sanctions against Iran, but they've not been triggered. It's critical that these get triggered before October 2023 when this agreement expires. What can we do with regard to making sure that those snapback sanctions get triggered? And what's your understanding about what our agreement with the E3 is with regard to those snapback sanctions?
Senator, I'm better prepared to answer the questions that are directed to me with respect to the UN and the diplomacy that we'll be conducting in New York. What I can tell you is I share your consternation about Iran's blatant violation of UN Security Council resolutions, whether with respect to nuclear, other ballistic weapons, the provision of kamikaze drones to Russia for use against civilians in Ukraine. All of this is unacceptable, and it needs to be called out, exposed, and stopped. I commit to working through the administration, if confirmed, to help address these concerns, whether through the United Nations or elsewhere. Some of these actions are going to require diplomacy outside of the UN. I'm not as well prepared to address those today, sir.
Great. Thank you very much, Ambassador. And, Mr. Chair, I just also want to flag that there are news reports that the Biden administration is in negotiations with Iran. We don't know, obviously, the validity of this because it's not been confirmed, but I'd highlight that we are the committee of jurisdiction on this and that it would do the Biden administration well to come and brief, certainly in a classified setting, what is going on and have Mr. Robert Malley and Mr. Brett McGurk here to tell the Foreign Relations Committee about this rather than us finding about in newspaper accounts.
Agreed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.